Okay, it is going to be Sardauk playing as his Tech Marine versus TheCrydd, playing as the Chaos Sorcerer. So, got a couple of games here. This was from the B division of the ongoing faction waaagh League. Krydd obviously rocking Chaos, Sardauk Tech Marine of the Space Marines. Now, this was game 2 of this series. I haven't seen this series. I had game 2 and game 3 sent in, so because there's 2, we don't know who's going to be winning that because I don't know the result of game 1. So we're going to cast these back to back and see how it goes. Actually, I think it's quite nice the matchup here for Sardauk in terms of... No, sorry, the other way around. I think it's quite nice for Krydd versus Sardauk in terms of hero versus hero matchup. I think the Sorcerer is probably the best. Well, God, this is hard to... What I'm trying to say... what I'm trying to say is I think the Sorcerer is best versus Tech Marine out of Sorcerer versus FC, APO, Tech Marine. I don't necessarily think the Sorcerer is particularly good against the Tech Marine as such. Just... he probably prefers to fight the Tech Marine than fighting the APO or the FC. Now, I've not said anything about the map either, Fen Dunlock. Very rarely seen map, this weird swampy ass place. But yeah, Tawny Host Tenso is falling in love with this thing. So probably going to see a fair bit of it in future replays. We'll see, it's a funny one. The centre of this map seems just vitally important. I mean, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 requisition points that you have relative easy access to if you control this central area. You can generally only decap these points. However, you know, that's still minus 30 requisition. It's pretty powerful to get that decap. So I'm keeping an eye right now at the scouts. Down on the minimap, in the rec point, they get wiped. So Sardauk, not realizing the heretics there, just got onto the capping scouts. Sardauk are actually in a horrendous position right now. Having what would be your natural power decapped, I mean, he has a secondary natural over here, as, you know, both players do, it is somewhat symmetrical. But this would be the natural power, so to speak. And the Krydd is not relenting. He is now getting Noise Marines. He's got building his 3rd gen now. And Sardauk is stuck with 2 because, of course, he has to pay 210 requisition to replace his lost scouts. Sucks for him. Not having the melee potential that the Apothecary and the Force Commander have, with Sanguine, with the Purification Right Heal on ASM, and obviously with the Force Commander, I think Tech Marine is going to struggle quite a lot. He has got Bionics, which... yeah, feels kind of no-brainer against Chaos. I mean, it's just so amazing against the heretics. Really good damage on retreat as well, which is quite surprising. But, you know, at the end of the day, that isn't quite as powerful as actually having a Force Commander with upgrades, or an APO with upgrades, when it comes to actually beating up proper melee units. Yeah, you see, it's alright against the heretics, but when they've got the AC, it's not amazing. Tech Marine gonna take the garrison there, be safe, be able to poke down those heretics, but the more important thing is this. Krydd has got his Noise Marines around the flank, they're gonna be bashing the node. Tech Marines are gonna come. Bit risky for this CSM actually, he's took a lot of damage. Okay, he lives. Honestly, if I was Krydd, I probably would have walked away and rotated so this guy could take some of the damage. But yeah, he screened it well. He's got his decap. Going to be facing Devastators, which do fairly well against Noise Marines. And yeah, it forces off both of these now, which is fair enough. Some pretty weakened Heretics going to be doing some capping, but that's fine. Heretics not that valuable against Space Marines. Honestly, you probably want to get Grenade Launcher Heretics on this other one, given he's up against, you know, Shotgun Scouts, Devastators. The melee Heretics aren't going to do anything. But they're cheap, they're actually the cheapest unit in the game, so you know, you can just run them around with low models and just use them for capping. consume them with your sorcerer for heals and energy, that kind of thing. But map control's looking really bad for Sardauk still. Does have a little bit of a lead on the VPs. I think that was a very premature retreat there from the sorcerer. Probably could have just walked around here, gone back around to threaten the decap and the VP. No flamer, so just bolters attacking the node there, but this is not the proper power farm. This is. Yeah, Sardauk just gives up on it. I don't even know if that would have been worth it. Yeah, trying to bash that. It would have took so long, and he doesn't own the map. I think taking this is more important for Sardauk. Taking this, which is now fully matured, in favour of the Crydd. I mean, this is quite a very strongly favoured tier 1 for the Crydd. There's no doubt about that. The fact that this game obviously goes on for a fair bit, which it has to do because it's a replay that I'm casting, it's quite impressive. I don't know how Sardauk is going to get himself out of this situation. Perhaps some pesky retreat grenades. No, there's no sergeants. See if the heretics can get around the firing arc. Well, Devastators don't even target them, they just shoot at the sorcerer, so yep, they get around. And that's the dead Devastator. This is not a great situation at all for Sardauk. How does he get out of this? Still quite far off tier 2 as well. Noise Marines are now moving up. What? This is so bad. Tactical Marine gets killed by the Bolter and the Doom Bolts. Gens are falling. This is horrible. Not much really to say there, I mean, just nothing Sardauk can do. At least he didn't lose everything. So he replaces a gen there, he has got a gen up sneakily in this corner, and the Crydd's going to be going for a Chaos Dreadnought. I guess that's fine. I don't know, maybe I would go with just a Blood Crusher to keep it cheap, because let's face it, Tech Marine, pretty damn good AV, you know? You can get that Melter Gun, which is a really good weapon in general. Does huge damage to all targets, including CSM, Noise Marines, and the hero, but also that Chaos Dreadnought. So I don't generally like to put a lot of money into getting vehicles against the Tech Marine. I feel like it kind of facilitates him. There's also a Devastator up as well, but I would like to see from the Crydd, okay, yeah, teleporting armor. I was going to say I'd like to see that or Sigil of the Rift to counter this Devastator. That obviously has a wonderful synergy with the Chaos Dreadnought. But I think you could do that too with the Blood Crusher, and then you would get them up faster, and I actually think the Khorne Marines could be quite useful here as well. Just overwhelm the Tech Marine in melee. Because if he goes for the Melter Gun to have that AV, then it means he hasn't gone for a melee Tech Marine. Heretics should not just be charging the Bionic Tech Marine though, that seems like a failure. Bit of a waste. Crydd's pushing super deep here. I'm not sure if he needs to go quite this deep. Well, it doesn't matter. He basically gets away with it with very little downside risk. Noise Marines have been doing amazing things this game. I think, God, have they killed maybe 7 gen and nodes? They've probably destroyed a good 800 requisition worth of generators and power nodes from Sardauk. Huge work. Don't get a lot of XP for it, given how much requisition has gone down the drain from Sardauk because of these Noise Marines, but yeah, they're doing great things. So we see Lascannon Devastators are up, and no upgrades for the Tactical Marine, no upgrade for the Tech Marine either. Scouts are trying to do their thing, running around, double shotguns. I don't know how much the double shotguns is really needed. I feel like that is probably a testament of the lower skill level, because one of your scouts should pretty much be dedicated to just capping anyway, and they can't really counter heretics even with the shotguns 1v1. They need some fire support, or eventually the heretics will get into combat. But it helps you last minute if you didn't see the heretics coming to be able to blast them away and then move. So it's like an insurance policy of paying for the 15 power. What I would say is probably better would be to get the Sergeant and have that grenade, because these default heretics, you literally wipe the default heretics just completely from full HP with a good grenade. Anyway, it's not what Sardauk's going for. He's got those 2 shotguns. Wow! He's gone for a plasma gun tech marine? I am really shocked to see that. But hey, slays a noise marine straight away. There's not a lot of AV on the field right now though. Wow, we've got a plasma gun tactical marine squad as well. This really facilitates the Dreadnought right now. If TheCrydd can get some bloodletters out, he's got the bloodletters and he's got a jumping sorcerer to deal with the las cannon. Once the las cannon's off the field, there is nothing to counter the Dreadnought right now. We could potentially see some missile attacks, but wow. Mark of Tzeentch Chaos Space Marine I think is a mistake here from TheCrydd. I don't know if he got them before he's seen the plasma guns, but certainly after seeing the plasma guns, this is a terrible idea. And there's not really a proper counter to the Dreadnought right now. But the Dreadnought's been very fearful. The counter is still over there, the last cannon. It should be able to avoid line of sight. Actually, if it walks here, it won't. Are they going to get a shot? No. Can't quite reach. And the Dreadnought's just going to slowly waddle away. So that was a pretty good engagement really for Sardauk. A lot of bleed onto TheCrydd, but to be honest that was the first time TheCrydd ever really experienced bleed this game. Oh, the Dreadnought is just outside the arc from the last cannon. It's going to get hit. Boom. Oh, will one more hit kill it? I think it will, you know. Though there's no line of sight because the scouts have retreated. The Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines fighting against tactical marines with plasma gun and a tech marine with plasma gun. Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines are going to get wrecked in that firefight. Because of Kraken rounds giving them 20% extra damage and the fact that Tzeentch bolters, whilst they have more DPS than the plasma guns, they don't have as much burst. So the plasma guns will kill models faster, and then the tats can generally retreat out before losing a model. I would have liked to have seen Khorne Marines, and I'd have also have liked to have seen Bloodletters from the TheCrydd. TheCrydd is opting to just go tier 3. So we'll see how that goes. You've got that overcharge there from the Tech Marine, making him shoot a lot faster, but he does lose a little bit of damage. Certainly with the rate of fire that he gets though, overall DPS is far higher and instantly kills 2 Tzeentch Marines. An overextension by the Chaos Sorcerer, he's going to fall as well. Noise Marines want to try and finish this, but losing another Noise Marine, I mean that is worth it. One Noise Marine is certainly a lot cheaper than 125 requisition for the power node. I mean, what is the TheCrydd going to go for? Please don't go for a Great Unclean One. If the TheCrydd goes for a Great Unclean One versus 3 plasma guns, then and a las cannon to snare it, that would be terrible. Terminators likewise would kind of get melted by plasma guns. Terminators aren't quite as bad. They're very durable with HP regen. They don't have to commit as hard as the Great Unclean One since they're ranged. But yeah, I wouldn't be getting either of them. I think he needs to get a vehicle at this point. Presumably, he should be going for a Land Raider Phobos. I don't really think a Predator will do too much either when there's already a las cannon. You could have a potential Melter Dreadnought coming out. But here we go, the las cannon set up once again, going to get another shot off on the Dreadnought. It is one las cannon away from dying, but I think it does get out of the arc of fire. But here we have the plasma guns just melting Chaos Marines here. Loyalists really showing them who has the superior tech. A little bit of an overextension there from the Tech Marine. Gets smashed by the autocannon of the Chaos Dreadnought, and indeed it is going to be Chaos Terminators here for the TheCrydd. And right now, while the army of Sardauk is split up like this is a really good engagement for the TheCrydd. Power Fists on retreat. Boom. They don't get any kills! Oh my goodness. Level 3 Tactical Space Marines. What can you do? Just immortal. The good thing is that they don't have the HP regen that Terminators have, so they're going to be in base healing for a while. The TheCrydd, for some reason, built another 2 gens here, which is very strange and a massive mistake, and we see that now because he just spent 100 power getting Terminators and he still has 200 in the bank. You never need 5 gens, that's ridiculous, TheCrydd. And if you're in tier 2, with a decent eco, you don't need to build any more gens if you've already got 3. If you want to go for fast gens, generally 4 gens is the most you ever want, but whatever, this is why it's Div B, I guess. Let's see how these plasma guns fare against the Terminators. So you see the Terminators don't want that fight there, they want to back off fighting against double attacks with plasma guns. They probably would win it, but they might lose a Terminator, and then they would be very low HP and definitely need to go back to the base. It's just a bad fight. Right now this is great because the damage that the Terminators do is actually superior. It's actually inferior to the damage that the Tzeentch Space Marines do. So what you want is you want the enemy to be shooting the Terminators, who are very tanky, whilst your less tanky Tzeentch Space Marines can output their DPS, and that's exactly what happened there. In the end, Sardauk did rotate his fire and managed to kill 2 Tzeentch Space Marines, but it looks like he lost 2 Tactical Marines as well. Case Dreadnought's got to level 2 now. I wonder if it'd be worth getting the Mark of Khorne. Maybe not. The Mark of Khorne would make it a lot more resilient, but it means he has to commit to close range, and he has kind of been struggling with this last cannon. I think the Chaos Dreadnought just needs to be wherever the last cannon isn't. Man, look at how much damage those Terminators took straight away there from the triple plasma guns. Brutal. I don't like the tier 3 tech from TheCrydd. I think he could have secured this game in tier 2 quite easily by just going Bloodletters. Last cannon's still here, so the Dreadnought needs to be quite careful. Taking big attacks. Ooh, here comes the nade. Spotted by the TheCrydd, very nice. Very nice. Not bad at all. I think the CSM can probably just continue this. Yeah, force off the scouts there, can continue getting the cap. A lot of damage here coming onto this Terminator. They do have to teleport away. Gonna head back to base and get some healing. Last cannon, yeah, getting another shot. That Dreadnought seems to perpetually be on the very edge of the poor last cannon's firing arc. But you see, that's why it would have been so nice to get the Melter Gun. Just to kill the Dreadnought, and then you can swap out to your Plasma Gun afterwards. I know that sounds slightly inefficient with the cost, but it's not really that expensive of a war gear. Just to get this Dreadnought off the field would be beautiful. And then, you know, it frees up the last cannon to just go around capping and not constantly have to be babysat. Anyway, the TheCrydd repurchases his Chaos Sorcerer. Probably should be considering getting Subjugation, given, you know, we're in tier 3 at this point. Spending the wreck just to get a Sorcerer back who's level 2 with his default weapon in tier 3 sounds not very worth it. If you're going to do that, I feel like you should opt to get, you know, some tier 3 upgrades. Another 2 Noise Marines going down. Wow. They actually had the Tactical Marines silenced there, so them retreating led to them dying. Because the Tacs couldn't shoot whilst the Noise Marines were doing that. Little bit of a misplay there from the TheCrydd. And I think Sardauk's just playing a really good VP game right now. He's not winning all of these engagements as such, but his scouts are just constantly running around, getting the upper hand on the heretics, and that means that the VPs are in control of Sardauk. The heretics have to be constantly repairing the Dreadnought as well because it's eating so many las cannon shots, and I think that's down to misplay by the TheCrydd. The TheCrydd, as I say, this Dreadnought should definitely be away from the main fights and should just be guarding VPs, I think, because obviously scouts can't be doing their shenanigans against a Dreadnought. Oh, these scouts might go down here. Yeah, they do. It's pretty rough when you've got the Dreadnought and the Terminators in retreat path. Heretics obviously here do not want this fight. They're going to have to disengage. Should be capping with the Tactical Marines, with a 50% extra capping. There's no reason to not be using the tax when they just idle like this. So that's a mistake from Sardauk. Bled 3 VPs for no reason there. And now we see Bloodletters. Yeah, a bit late. A bit late on the Bloodletters. I wonder if it'd be worth him saving up for the foe boss instead of getting bloodletters at this point. Look at the Crydd's power, man. Those 2 gens were so unnecessary. This is not a great engagement for the Crydd. Signum armor goes onto the Dreadnought, making it take extra damage there from all targets. The last cannon snipes it. Tech Marine needs to get out of there. Bloodletters are going to jump in. The Bloodletters are revealing themselves for the first time. Hellblades onto Tactical Marines equals dead Marines. They need to retreat out of there. But they are level 4 attacks. These guys are level 3. So Sardauk wins that engagement, really. I mean, technically he lost. He had to retreat. But in terms of the economics, Sardauk didn't bleed a single model. And the Crydd lost his Dreadnought. So in my books, that is a win for Sardauk. Sardauk is now going to be getting a Dreadnought of his own. And this is why I would have considered having the Land Raider foe boss to counter any sort of real play based on walkers, and also to counter the Plasma Gun Marines. I don't know how well level 1 Bloodletters are going to do against this now. You know, at the start of tier 2, I'm sure they'd do great, but these are level 3 and level 4 Tactical Space Marines, a level 5 Tech Marine. It's pretty scary. Sardauk probably should not just be walking down the mid like this, though. At least not with sending infiltrated scouts out first to actually scout the enemy positioning. I like his use of the last cannon here, though, to cap up the side of the map, and I think this is something that Crydd is neglecting. Having a unit to control the sides. Bloodletters there were forced to go down here when you really want the Bloodletters in the main fight. And the Dreadnought would have been the perfect tool for that. What was the Dreadnought accomplishing in that main fight? It shouldn't have been there. It should have been down here. Or over here, just guarding a VP. Because then that would force the last cannon to be chasing it and not be capping. And it would also prevent back caps from scouts. But you can see right now the power of just having the Dreadnought. Chaos Terminators, they just have to flee. They will do a little bit of chip damage with their autocannon, but it's not a lot of DPS against the vehicle armor of a Dreadnought. And Crydd gets sent back to his base. It's going to be a Predator for the Crydd. Presumably going to give that bad boy a las cannon. A twin linked one at that to try and take down the Dreadnought. We'll see how effective that is, though, given that there is already a level 3 now las cannon Devastator for Sardauk on the field. Now Sardauk, of course, could swap to the Melter Gun. Could also swap to the Missile Attacks. Not as ideal, because you would have to pay to get your Plasma Gun back after you kill the Predator. I'm kind of surprised there hasn't been an Orbs of the Omnissiah as well. That would have been quite useful. Combine it with the Snare of the las cannon, so it's harder for the enemy to dodge it. Then you get 100% snare. Can be pretty good against tanks. They're bigger targets than Dreadnoughts, so they're actually quite easy to hit, especially after you snare them. But instead, we're going to be seeing the Refractor Shield just make that Tech Marine more tanky. Look at the Tech Marine. Instantly, as soon as he shoots, dead CSM. And this is major miss micro from the Crydd. Look at the damage on retreat. Oh my gosh. Signum armor debuffing their damage resistance. Kraken rounds to give the Tactical Marines 20% more damage anyway. Plasma overcharge to get crazy DPS than your Tech Marine Plasma Gun. That is a dead CSM squad, and this is why the Chaos Terminators are so questionable. But let's see, we've got a Mark of Khorne Predator. Wow, I am surprised. You know what that says to me? Get a Melter Dreadnought. Snare the Predator once with your last cannon, and then you just force melee with the Dreadnought, and you should be in a fantastic position. I mean, such a tactic, of course, would still work against the Mark of Tzeentch Predator. In fact, it would actually technically be better because the Mark of Khorne Predator has a little bit more speed. But there's just not really any significant vehicle DPS coming out of this Predator. I mean, it does do some, and it obviously can kite the melee Dreadnought forever. But it's not a lot of DPS against vehicles. Especially when you've got this much red for Sardauk to constantly spam the Omnissiah Blessing Global to just get heals, even when the Dreadnought's moving, not being repaired. Very powerful. And we're going to see a third Tactical Marine squad, probably going to be giving this one a missile launcher, one would imagine. Currently has a Sergeant, but no weapon upgrades. I find getting the Sergeant there a bit strange. I would have got the missile launcher as my priority. But let's see what this Mark of Khorne Dreadnought can do. Predator. Oh, this is an abyss. That's going to kill the Tech Marine. He retreats right through it, gets killed. Tactical Marines are in retreat path as well. They're trying to not retreat. They're using And They Shall Know No Fear, waiting it out. Terminators are getting pulled by the run abyss, which is not really ideal. Terminators are extremely low. Looks like the last cannon got one of them. Dreadnought is in melee with the Terminators. Predator needs to kite, but the Bloodletter's getting to the last cannon. That's what I was saying earlier. Oh, this is now looking bad for Sardauk. Dreadnought overcommits and it only has the melee, so it's quite easily kited by the Chaos Predator. And Bloodletters teleport over to the VP. I think Sardauk is probably done now. He bled like crazy in that fight. I don't think this choice for the 3rd Tactical Marine was very good, and if he wanted to do it, he should have got a Missile Tactical Marine, not the Sergeant on them straight away. What does another Bolter help with? Not a lot right now, when the primary threats are Terminators and Predator. Sorcerer here deters the Scouts, and it is a 3-0 cap in favour of the Crid. And in spite of this beautiful comeback that was initiated by Sardauk after being honestly smashed in Tier 1, he got absolutely battered. In spite of it, it looks like this game is going to be going in favour of the Crid. Got a Demonic Summoning here. Not very Zinch. Calling in a load of Bloodletters. Just going to push the Stern Guard away. I think they're going to go back for the cap now. Man, that global lasts a long time, doesn't it? They need to get on the VP. What are they doing? Sardauk needs to play that VP game. Ah, now we see the Crid has a 2nd Predator, and this one is going to be guarding the contested VP. Yeah, Sardauk's going to call GG. I mean, he's literally got no... Well, I mean, he does have some AV. He's got the last cannon still. I think it was worth playing it out. He could have sent troops down here, caught this VP. Of course, he doesn't know if there's anything defending it, but the Crid actually doesn't have anything defending it. It would be very, very difficult. Very difficult. These Scouts run out of energy, so they can't do an infiltrated decap. But, you know, you can wait with the elite training. It won't take too long to get the energy back, to get that decap. And again, the Predator can then force you off to prevent the cap. But the Predator can't cap afterwards. So I think that probably would have been worth playing out. But very unlikely for Sardauk to win that. Quite a few mistakes here and there, but I think overall a pretty nice game. Honestly, it's quite impressive that Sardauk managed to come back when he did. I think the main thing there was Crid going Tier 3 very prematurely. The amount of resources you have to consider that Crid put into going first Tier 3, then going for Chaos Terminators, then paying for an autocannon. Was that worth it? I don't think so. But you tell me down in the comments below, what do you think he could have done better? Where do you think that game went wrong for the Crid, given how much he was winning Tier 1? On to the next match, I suppose. Sardauk playing the Apothecary versus the Crid playing the Plague Champion. What a matchup this is. I mean, come on, this is like FC versus CL kind of tier of matchup. These guys, the healers for both of their factions, the Heretics versus the Loyalists. Let's see how it goes. So the Chaos Sorcerer beat the Tech Marine. Clearly, since this is game 3, it means Sardauk's FC must have beat the Crid's Chaos Lord. Now, we get to find out who the winner of the series is going to be. Is it going to be Sardauk? Is it going to be the Crid? Let's find out in this match. Nothing particularly odd so far. In fact, everything completely standard, really. Scouts going down to this sort of valley area is very typical in this matchup because the Scouts can take the garrisons here. You see these 4 garrisons, to which there is then no counter from the Chaos player. Whereas Heretics obviously doing it, it's not so effective. You know, the Heretics can hide in the garrison all they want. Scouts just ignore them. I dislike that no player has rushed this node, but nonetheless the second scout from Sardauk is going to go for it. That should be quite powerful. Tactical Marines holding their ground quite well there. Could technically have been pushed off if the Heretics engaged. And I think the Krydd should stop faffing around here and push. He's got 4 units in this proximity. There's only 2 here, and the Apothecary by default is not very strong. But instead, the Krydd is going to take the majority of his army, flank these scouts, probably ignore them, just get the gem bash. Yeah, okay, this works for the Krydd. This works really well for the Krydd. Sardauk needs to node this. I don't know how he hasn't already caught this. I thought the scouts went over here a very long time ago. What were they doing? Were they AFK? I might have misclicked. That's really sad for Sardauk. This is a terrible engagement. He honestly, he should just let this go. He should just let it go. Scouts, I don't really know what they're doing either. They're not really achieving a whole lot right now. I think he should have just caught all the map here. Tax can come down and poke. Apo take this wreck point. Scouts just leave. And then they can come back and shoot them. Just left himself super vulnerable. But it's not the end of the world. He's got decent map control here. You see the problem once again. Scouts just take the garrisons here. These Chaos Heretics didn't do anything. Moving the Heretics over to this side was a clear mistake from the Krydd. He needed the Heretics to be sort of lurking here, guarding, so that the scouts couldn't run up, because then, you know, they'd get caught by the melee charge of the ticks. That would have been a better play. Instead he just bled models and he bled map control unnecessarily, and it's actually a 3-0 cap in favour of Sardauk right now. So the Krydd getting a pretty nice lead in terms of power, but we'll see how it does for him because he's losing the map. It's actually a lot of pressure. Noise Marines coming out again for the Krydd. I like the Noise Marines when you're playing the PC, because you can punish ASM a lot better with a PC. Whether you go Mucus Discharge to heal your own Heretics, or you go for the Plague Sword to really punish ASM, and indeed we are going to be seeing ASM. I don't like going Noise Marines and Geotics together here. Certainly not this early, because this is just heavily countered by the ASM. And when you're playing against the Apothecary, the ASM are almost a no-brainer. You know, the synergy of the Purification Rites, doing the knockback and damage when he heals, combined with just, you know, ASM jumping the enemy forces. It's so strong. So yeah, even just the Apo and the Tax there forcing off the Noise Marines and the GL Ticks. Another thing that I would be doing if I was Sardauk and I see Noise Marines and GL Ticks, I'd be getting Sanguine Chainsword and the Apothecary. You're talking a solid 40% more damage in your Apo, but most importantly, higher charge range, so you can tie up the Noise Marines easier, and, best yet, healing every time you swing in melee or shoot a pistol shot. You basically make the Apothecary more or less immortal. Apo right now should be tying up the Heretics, doesn't need to be contributing his pitiful DPS to the melee Heretic fight. But yeah, decisive win here, because of course the Apothecary has the Purification Rites, so the ASM get that heal, and the Heretics get wrecked. Indeed, we're going to see the Sanguine Chainsword on the way, and can actually solo the CSM here, but instead he's going to go for the decap. Probably worth it, because he's so close to the base. Noise Marine is kind of manhandling the scouts, but that's fine. ASM come and save the day. No upgrades yet on the scouts, and actually a little bit of floating here from Sardauk. I presume he is not going to be getting another squad out. Yeah, he could get Devastators if he wanted them, so I assume he's not going to get them, in which case he should be, yeah, he should have dropped those gens a long time ago. I floated quite a bit there. But here we go. Will we see any upgrades on the Plague Champion? I think he's going to need it. I think the Plague Champion has to match the upgrades on the Apothecary. We've got 2 upgrades on the Apothecary. This is a really strong force, and you know, the Krydd has not done himself any favours by getting GL Ticks. I don't know why he's got GL Ticks. They're so useless against the both the Sanguine Apothecary and the ASM. Now, if the SM player was playing with huge investments in the scouts, then totally get the geotics. They do really nice damage with their machine guns against these scouts, and they also do decent damage with the grenades. But you need melee against the ASM. Let's see how this fight goes. It's kind of a sloppy engagement, and actually the heal was really poorly timed because the AC ticks weren't there, so the purification rites didn't do anything. But I think you can see just the sheer tankiness of the ASM. They can get another jump now. That's these two squads gone. Yeah, oh, this is just horrendous. The Crydd needs the Plague Sword if he wants to try and kill these ASM, given that he's gone for geotics. Or he needs 2 aspiring champions, you know, but he can't get them now. 2 aspiring champion melee heretics. So I think the Plague Sword would have been really helpful for him. He's getting kind of slaughtered in these engagements, and Sardauk needs to capitalise on that. Sardauk needs to capitalise. I assume the Apothecary will heal from pistol shots on buildings, so he probably should be doing that. I don't know, maybe he doesn't heal from buildings. Either way. Flame is coming up, so, you know, Sardauk is really committing hard right now to trying to finish off this bash. ASM are going to heroically dive in, just trying to disrupt for as long as possible so that the Tactical Marines can finish it. What are they doing? They're in melee. Why are the Tactical Marines in melee? Oh no. Sardauk seriously mismicroing there. Oh dear. That's terrible. He definitely had the time to kill the final gen there. But honestly, it's kind of late for Sardauk to be gen bashing right now. I really don't agree with going for the Flamer there. I think it was fine to just shoot at it with your bolters, just get your ASM and your APO in melee, kill a couple of gens and then get out of there. Crydd already has his Blood Crusher out, and he's going to be moving that Blood Crusher down to the gen farm to support the Noise Marines, and I think Sardauk is about to lose his entire farm. Scouts here trying to cap up the map, but the CSM are going to divert. They will be able to 1v1 the scouts. I like that play from the Crydd. Where's the Blood Crusher? Okay, it's coming. I was going to say, what is it doing? It seems to be a mile away. Yeah, the scouts are getting shot to pieces. One of them's already dead. Blood Crusher's going to charge forward. Noise Marine is going to get tied up by the APO. Unfortunately for Sardauk, there is no energy on the ASM. But look how annoying this Sanguine Chainsword Apothecary is, just constantly healing, full health. You can shoot him with the AC Tick and the Plague Champion, but it won't be that effective. And he's already killed one of the Noise Marines. He's just annoying because he's stopping the Noise Marines from being able to actually gen bash. And look, you see the heretics hitting him? They just don't do that much damage because of the constant heals. Sanguine Chainsword's so good in this matchup. Cacophony is a really nice choice here though, because it prevents him being able to heal himself, either with the active ability or with the passive. Eventually gets the active heal off there, knocking some of the heretics away. What are the scouts doing in the building? There's grenade launchers here. Sardauk must have completely forgot. Grenade launchers are very strong anti-garrison, and the damage over time might be able to claim the scout here. Doesn't look like the PC got quite enough shots there, so it's not going to happen. But yeah, CSM killed a lot of models over here. Looks like the scouts went down to 1 model. No, they only lost 2. Still, map control is getting taken on basically every front by the Crydd right now, and Noise Marines are going to finish their bash. It's currently a 0 cap game, but not for long. It's going to be 2-0 soon in the favour of the Crydd, and honestly, the Crydd's economy is booming. Bloodletters are now in the way. It's going to be a drop pod full of tactical space marines for Sardauk. We got 1 missile launcher up. Interesting. Presumably Sternguard next. Not a bad choice. Most of the threats on the field are actually light infantry. I mean, certainly when the Blood Crushers come out, not the Blood Crushers, Jesus, imagine a squad of Blood Crushers, the Bloodletters. You'll have light infantry, light, heavy. Heavy? Those marines are heavy, I'm pretty sure. So there is reason to go Stern Guard and get those Hellfire rounds. Obviously the Stern Guard have soft AV as well, so then you have two sources of AV, so you can kite the Blood Crusher and it can't just tie up your one source of AV. Let's see, this is looking like a terrible engagement right now for Sardauk. Look how much melee is coming at him. Oh my god. He's got Melter Bombs and his ASM as well. This is quite a expensive array of war gear to try and counter a Blood Crusher, I have to admit. So here we go. Blood Crusher honestly massively overextended here without the worship support. It's way too deep, but for some reason the missile launcher isn't firing. I don't know why. He should have already had a missile launcher shot going off. And it looks like the TheCrydd is not factoring in the Vengeance round Stern Guard, so they should be able to take out the Blood Crusher here, and it's kind of just wasted. Oh my god, does it get away? Are you kidding me? It gets away with 7 HP! Oh my god. The TheCrydd and his micro is completely capitulating. What is going on? Did he think the Blood Crusher died? It did not die, brother. It is alive with 7 HP. It lived. I can't believe it. I really can't. Shogun Scouts here running away from the heretics seems odd. Why could he have not just soft retreated? Maybe he got caught by like a Doom Blast or something. Super even game again, so close on the VPs. ASM here obviously will be able to force off the Noise Marines. And honestly, oh wait, I thought they were CSM. God, these Stern Guard look so different. Oh, they're Stern Guard. Okay, so this is actually not going too badly for Sardauk. The Bloodletter play from the TheCrydd was honestly horrendous. Both of these demon units, they need the worship support. All he had to do basically was hug this area here. GL Tits can shoot over the wall, get some Zinchka Space Marines, make the enemy come to you. He has the option to go for a Blastmaster as well. But he didn't, he committed really hard, and once again, looks like the Blood Crusher is overextended. Where is the worship support? Miles away. One of the most important parts of your tier 2 play as a Chaos player is your worship. And the TheCrydd unfortunately not utilising it properly at all. Combination of a Melter Bomb, Stern Guards equals dead Blood Crusher. Yeah, Noise Marines are going to deal with the Scouts quite easily over here. Be able to cap up both of these parts of the maps, could even push forward and go for the attack on the Gen Farm. Honestly, there's not much to attack. And the TheCrydd gonna opt for that Dreadnought once again. What's coming out now? Stims. Okay, cool. I don't mind some Stims. It's a bit of an underused wargear, to be honest, the combat stimulants. It's a really good buff. I believe it's 30% extra damage, immunity to suppression, and 15% damage resistance. Yes, and it also gives 125 extra HP to the Apothecary. What an amazing buff. It's great on the ASM, make him more tanky, make him do more damage. It's great on the Stern Guard. Buffing the damage of Stern Guard is always beautiful. And again, the Blood Crushers... Why do I keep calling the Blood Crushers? Oh my god. The Bloodletters, they keep engaging without any support. I don't know what the heretics are doing worshipping over here. The TheCrydd really needs to work on his Bloodletter play. It's not going very well for him. Plague Champion could also do again the Armour of Pestilence, so he becomes immune to weapon knockback and gets about 400 more HP or something crazy like that. Because right now, level 3 Apo, level 2 Plague Champion, that means the Plague Champion cannot special the Apo, but the Apo can special the Plague Champion. And that's bad, because if you're on your ass, you're not going to do much in a melee fight. So you should definitely be getting that tier 2 armor, get that knockback immunity. Dreadnought is engaging pretty deep here. Where are the ASM? Okay, luckily for the Dreadnought, the ASM are nowhere near, which the Dreadnought couldn't have known. But the Dreadnought is going to maybe go down regardless. Stimmed missile launcher and a miss micro from the TheCrydd, not moving his Dreadnought. It's going to die. Oh my god, TheCrydd, please. What are you doing? his micro is not there right now. Throwing away so many units. And compositionally right now, this is looking quite awkward. Yes, I was going to say, it feels like the best thing that Crydd can do right now is start spamming bloodletters, but unfortunately Crydd has not really got a very good track history for using bloodletters well, so I think Sardauk has this. All Sardauk has to do now is get a Dreadnought, keep it in melee mode, and then he can screw over all those bloodletters. Probably wants to swap the missile launcher to a plasma gun so he can kill these Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines a little easier. But a nice noxious cloud there from Crydd. You know, you got to give credit where credit is due. It certainly forced off Sardauk's primary army there, and that's basically secured him this upper part of the map, which he needs right now. He needs to keep the VP pressure on. Yeah, ASM don't really want to take a fight against the PC. Honestly, while the PC doesn't have his Armor of Pestilence, I think the ASM can take him on, to be honest. If they jump him right now, they'll knock him over. I don't know if Sardauk has realised that he doesn't have Armor of Pestilence. It's so rare that you actually see a Plague Champion in Tier 2 get the Power Fist but not get that armor. It's just such a good armor. I mean, it's like a 50% HP increase, for God's sake. It's insane. On top of knockback immunity. Come on. But it looks like for now the Shotgun Scouts are going to get wrecked by these bloodletters. A little bit of miss micro. It looks like Sardauk is focusing more on this side of the map. Also his Apothecary, who's soloing all kinds of things. This Apothecary is really just going crazy. I don't know, when did the Noise Marines die? I don't know, but I'm just recalling how Crydd went for Noise Marines and GL Ticks. It's such a bad build against the Apo. And he's going to lose his PC. But yeah, there's going to be no loss. Oh, there might be a loss of the Apo. Let's see how they do. Bloodletter's not got good chasing potential, but indeed, if they land directly on top, it's solid for them. But, in fact, look at the red from Sardauk. He's got a crazy amount of red. So he just used Larimer's Blessing, the global, from the Apothecary. It revives all allied heroes, instantly gets his Apothecary back, and Crydd is going to be getting another Chaos Dreadnought. I don't know. I don't think the Chaos Dreadnought is the play. Because if Sardauk gets a Dreadnought himself, what are you going to do with your Chaos Dreadnought when you have no AV and he has Missile Tax and Melter Bomb and Stern Guard? I don't know. So we're trading globals right now. We've got the Angels of Death dropped by Sardauk, giving his entire army 50% damage resistance and knockback immunity for a short while. It has now worn off. There is a Noxious Cloud dropped by the Crydd, but it wasn't moved for a long time and it's going to dissipate soon. It's doing some decent damage to the scouts there, but nothing's getting wiped yet. These scouts looking like they're in a dodgy position. Attempt a nade spike and it goes very well, forcing off that Bloodletter squad. This Bloodletter squad is suffering, getting bolter shots, getting hit by that Sanguine Apothecary who's doing amazing things. Honestly, this Apothecary has been just a beast. And here comes the other Dreadnought. Once again, completely on his own. Please don't run that into melee again. You know what happened the last time you did that. That said, Stern Guard are on the other side of the map right now being idled. Stimmed missiles are going to do some pretty nice damage. Level 3 as well, so let's see how much damage that does per hit. Boom. That was like 630 to 450. About 180 damage per hit, that's huge. Bang. Again, that was about 170 damage. So 2 more missiles will kill this Dreadnought. Okay, maybe not now. I think the stimulants have worn off. Ah, no, it's not going to happen. Or is it? Heretics trying to tie up these Marines, but they're using that and they shall know no fear. Sending the Heretics flying. The Heretics are very low level right now. Low HP. So this is... Yeah, I guess VPs are super low for Sardauk, but it's not so low that it is like a matter of life or death. He can come back again, he just needs to win the next fight. So Sardauk really staying in way too long there. It almost worked out for him, to be honest. If that grenade was positioned slightly differently, that would have been a white Bloodletter squad. Sardauk needs to get a Dreadnought out. What is he doing? He's floating massively. Stim the ASM into a melter bomb will kill the Chaos Dreadnought. Oh, he didn't stim them. So he's not going to kill. Power Sword to finish it off. Oh my god, so risky. He gets the Dreadnought with the ASM. He didn't need to bleed 2 models, including the Sergeant though. All he needed to do was use Stimulants in the ASM. It does improve the damage of the Melter Bomb, but the Plague Champion gets dropped there by all the ranged fire. Bloodletters, meanwhile, I don't know what they were doing. They were trying to go for the full cap. He just needed to fight. Apothecary managed to slay 3 of the Bloodletters. Probably going to kill this CSM as well. Wow, he doesn't. The one in the front is the one who dies. Okay, I wasn't expecting that. We've got a level 6 Apothecary, guys. This guy has gone insane. Honestly, at this point, probably we should swap out to the Power Axe and start doing some real damage. Drain the energy of the Bloodletters as well. It's not a very expensive weapon. I don't know why Sardauk is not purchasing the Dreadnought. This is obviously a gigantic mistake. Another Noxious Cloud. I don't know why CryD is spamming Noxious Clouds. I guess it doesn't really matter. He's got so much red, but I feel like Touch of Nurgle would be a lot more effective. Noxious Cloud, great against the high model, low HP races. Not so good against Marines. And it is a 1-to-1 cap. But Sardauk is going tier 3. I don't know why. There's no reason to go tier 3. His VPs are super low as it is. He needs units on the field right now so that CryD doesn't come out with something and just win on VPs. Now obviously we know that CryD can't because he's been bleeding too much. You can see his economy, but Sardauk doesn't know that. Thank you, Sardauk. Jesus. He could have got this Dreadnought out, honestly, freaking 5 minutes ago. Look at the resources this guy has. He's buying the Dreadnought for 450, 120, and he's still got 100 in the bank, 550 requisition. That's insane. Could have had it ages ago. And he should have. Because obviously the Dreadnought in melee, it's just gonna... well, the Bloodletters can't do anything. And CryD won't be able to do anything. What's he gonna get? Plague Marines? Good luck keeping them alive. He's gonna get tied up by this Apothecary, you know? Level 7 Apothecary with Stims, Rights and Sanguine. Yeah, good luck with your Plague Marines shooting their missile launcher. Obviously you can't go for a Las Cannon Havoc. You're fighting 2 fully upgraded Scouts which can grenade it. The Marines are going to shoot a Havoc down in seconds, the Apo can tie it up, and you've got level 4 ASM. The Dreadnought is just obvious. In fact, at this point for Sardauk, I was going to say get another Dreadnought, he can't, he's full pop. He's got full pop! You don't see that too often in a 1v1, it's been a while. 96 pop for Sardauk, he literally can't get another squad. In fact, he can't get his ASM Sergeant. Oh dear. I think he should let some Scouts die, so he can get his ASM Sergeant. That's hilarious. The CryD has not seen the Dreadnought. It's going to be so funny if these Bloodletters teleport in. The Bloodletters should not be engaging like this in the first place. This is just... Angels of Death, and yeah, CryD is going to meet the Space Marine Angels of Death right now. Good luck, my friend. Emperor's Fist goes in. No, it doesn't. He's not using it. Doesn't even need to. The Dreadnought is getting inspiration buffs every time he gets a kill. So all the other Space Marine units doing more damage. Look at the Bloodletters melt. Pathetic. Yep. That is a GG for sure. Absolutely wrecked. He didn't even use Emperor's Fist, which is the most hilarious thing. But yeah, a lot of strategic mistakes in this game. You know, there's no point me calling out micro mistakes. Micro mistakes happen to the best of us. They happen at the highest level of play. But strategic mistakes, you know, I can call them out because you can learn watching the video and sort it out next time, you know. It's not like a micro mistake which takes 100 games of practice to improve. A lot of strategic mistakes from CryD here. And he really has to work on his Bloodletter play. It's not a miss micro of his Bloodletters, it's just a fundamental misunderstanding of how to use them. He's using them like ASM, just sending them in, flying deep into the enemy back line with no support, and it doesn't work. Your Bloodletters just bleed then. They don't have a proper melee charge, they only have that little teleport. And they're light infantry. You need them under worship. The jump's nice for mobility or to deal with isolated squads or setup teams, not armies. You don't jump them into armies. Anyway, there you have it. That is going to be the final match between Sardauk and TheCrydd, so clearly Sardauk takes the series, only losing with his Tech Marine. But to be honest with you, Tech Marine versus Chaos Sorcerer is kind of an awkward matchup. Thank you for tuning in, folks. It's your boy Torpid, signing out.